Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to something completely different on this channel. Completely different. I did one video like this in the past, and you guys seem to have really enjoyed it. Well, some of you, at least. It did have one or two dislikes, I can't exactly remember, but be that as it may, I've decided to do another one, because I believe, well, that some of you might find this enlightening, some of you might learn something, or, for others, it's just a opportunity to share our experiences together or whatnot. This is, namely, my favourite strategy game of all time. And as the developer of said game pans into view on that's a mine, right? Yeah. It's a underwater mine. That is indeed Company of Heroes. There you go. The original Company of Heroes, the first Company of Heroes, not the DLCs and expansion packs, parks? What the fuck is parks? Expansion packs afterwards, but, the game itself, the original one. Why? That's a great question. One that I've been thinking about over the last, half an hour or so, and I have no clue. Why is this my favourite RTS ever? Is it down to nostalgia? Well, a part of it is, undoubtedly. But expansion packs came out afterwards, and Company of Heroes 2 has been out for, what, 2 years now? I could be wrong on that, I don't exactly know when it was released, but yeah, Company of Heroes 2 is a thing, and I don't mind Company of Heroes 2. It's not a bad game, but it's nowhere near as iconic and as enjoyable for me as the original COH, as they call it. Or Koch, as I always had a habit of saying back in the day. Now, yes, back in the day, it was 2006, I believe, that I played this game first. Or could have been like a year later. This was my first mission that I ever played. Very reminiscent of something like Medal of Honor, which was one of my first games ever. Yeah, the old original Medal of Honor. God, it wasn't my first game, but it was one of my first games. I think I still have that CD around here. Big nostalgia trip here. Yes, I'm getting old. I know. But it wasn't even down to gameplay. Whilst, don't get me wrong, visually the game was great. It had this slightly hint of cartooniness to it, but was very gritty and real at times as well. The fact that it was an RTS, and I love that the facial expressions of the characters as well. I mean, that guy has character, right? Now, it's not photorealism, 2016 next-gen graphics, but he has character, right? And you can see that in the gear on that he has and all of that. It seemed to me like a great piece of art, really, the character design of the very few in numbers heroes that were there. That were there. I promise we'll get to the gameplay eventually. Just this first scene was so impactful for me, and it's the Normandy invasion, of course. I mean, if you've seen Saving Private Ryan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This scene is powerful. Even, well, not even, but despite being nowhere near the worst thing that happened during the war, right? I mean, Normandy invasion, by many is described as a necessary thing that had to happen, and everyone knew it did. I mean, you take a look at World War I, for example, and you'll see far more horrific scenes of a far larger number of troops crossing an open field and running into cover, or the trenches specifically. I should probably turn down the volume a little bit. But, oh, there's a sniper there as well. Was it the base building? I was always a fan of base building games, but, like I said, I don't think it was ever a gameplay thing. Nor was it a visual thing. I think the main strength of this game, if you will, for me at least, was the fact that it had charm. It had that special something, and if you were to ask me today what that special something is, I have no clue how to describe it. It just had something. Get to the single. Iconics, the quotes from this game I still remember today, and I say recently, semi-recently was the 12th anniversary. I am unable to speak. Was the 12th anniversary of GTA San Andreas, a game that is, I have tons of banter with my friends about, and we quote that game all the time for its quests and hilarious dialogues. This one, not so much for the humour, but it had something. I don't know what, and I'm trying as I'm I understand this might not be the best video ever made, but it has something. These scenes, these action-packed scenes of landing on Normandy, and much later, you see also the final details like body parts being scattered all over the place. That as well. There we go, sorry. Yep, take that bunker, Able Company. I remember the very, very iconic scene as well of Hold Fire. I don't suppose a lot of people remember this. I don't know, actually. Well, I guess we'll see based on the comments and stuff in this video. But Hold Fire was when a particular young soldier in the army decides to take his vengeance, or take vengeance for his fallen brethren in arms, and decides to fire upon German retreating soldiers, or was it German POWs? And he just fired his gun away. He fired, he emptied his belt into a line of Germans, and his commander's running towards him, basically yelling at him, "Hold fire, hold fire, god damn it, I said hold fire." And it's this that really introduced me to the horrors of World War II. As this was in 2016, mind you, and not actually pinned down. You could, maybe playing this on very hard was not the best idea, considering I jumped back into this game today. Reason being, actually, there was a giveaway. Of course, the unprofessional YouTuber that I am, I've never actually informed you guys about this. There was a giveaway. They gave away 30,000 copies of Call of Duty 1. I'll give them some. It's a 2006 game, and you don't exactly expect to see him receive a lot of sales for this game. But regardless of the fact, though, they gave 30,000 copies away, and I think they gave them all away. There was enough people that signed up. And to those 30,000 people, I say, congratulations on winning. You've won yourself my favourite RTS of all time, and hopefully you're going to be able to see why relatively soon, if you do decide to try that game out. That was very poetic as well, died as he threw his grenade. And it's just sending these endless lines of soldiers into enemy territory like this there's something about this, yeah? Is all I'm saying. Anyways. Well, this is, like I said, this is exactly the first mission that this game presents you with. Later, of course, they do get more interesting, more challenging, stuff like that. But I suppose I should talk about a little bit more about the actual gameplay. So other than the story missions, which can vary greatly from you commanding a single unit, especially in the later expansions for this game, Tales of Valor, to massive battles, including some with several armies of AI aiding you. It's basically the same as Call of Duty. Call of Duty? Well, I guess, this was recreated in Call of Duty, or this exactly the same scene. Perhaps not exactly the same scene. This is also very iconic. But this similar mission was recreated in the original Call of Duty, or was it Call of Duty 2? What I meant to say is pretty much a similar thing as in Company of Heroes 2. But there was something different here. I keep saying this. Company of Heroes 2 missions for me were forgettable. I don't know why. I keep repeating myself, I know. But I don't know why. The thing is that I am most likely never going to forget these missions here with this game. This is going to stay ingrained in my memory for all eternity. I am probably not going to forget these missions, and something is going to be something that I always fondly remember. But Company of Heroes 2, I've already forgotten. Like, I don't know. I remember the siege of, was it Stalingrad? Yes, that was the large urban map. I remember the siege of Stalingrad, and well, thank God I remember it, because if I didn't, the game would have far greater problems than that simple little X factor that I don't seem to find. And don't get me wrong, this is not me shitting on Call of Company of Heroes. Again, I keep calling it Call of Duty. Fuck's sake. Like I said, don't get me wrong, this is not me shitting on Company of Heroes 2. It's a good game in and of its own right. I mean, especially in the modern days with the decline of RTS, which I've always found a bit puzzling. Like, why do people not play RTS games? And I look at myself and I'm like, well, I don't play a lot of RTS games anymore either. I mean, the last one I played, not counting this one, was well, Cossacks a bit, but I wouldn't count that either. I think that's a special case too. Other than Cossacks, I played what's it called? StarCraft. Yeah, played StarCraft for quite a bit, but that's basically it. And in the 2016, well, we're nearly into 2017 now era of nobody seems to be playing strategy games anymore. It's but I suppose you can call it a little bit worrying that you might never see a game like this with that special something. Am I crazy, by the way? Don't just answer that flat out. Think about my question for a bit. Yes, you are, you idiot. Am I crazy, or does someone agree with me here? This game had something, right? I'm not just being stupid. It's not just pure nostalgia speaking out of my arse, right? This game had something special in it that I haven't seen in any single RTS previous to this one. And it's not just the visuals, it's not just the missions, it's not just the multiplayer. You know, when it worked, was really damn good and fun to play, and pretty well balanced too, for the most part. It was really asymmetric for its time. I mean, think about it. Up until then, we mostly dealt with straightforward and symmetric multiplayer RTS games. Of course, there were examples, as there always are. But for the most part, as a general rule of thumb, we dealt with just the most basic of multiplayer, of either the same faction or mirror matches. Here, your units will get different numbers of troops in them. For example, the Riflemen for America have 6 soldiers in it. The Volksgrenadiers of the Third Reich have 5 troops in them. The Pioneers have 2 units. It's a pair of Pioneers, while the Engineer Corps, well, just the Engineer unit, would receive 3 units, as you can see here. In that sense, it was quite asymmetrical. It's nothing groundbreaking for today, but put it in the context of time, and this game is one of those ones that aged incredibly well. I put this to you: pick up any game from this era, from 2006. Pick up any game. Now, bearing in mind that 2006 has been, in my opinion, fairly modest and not that relevant in the grand scheme of things. 2006 was one of the most productive gaming years of all time. Think about all the various titles we had, and especially in the era between 2003 and 2006. How many classics? How many just immortal games that will live on and be remembered forever, you know, were developed and came out in that time period of those 3 years. Now, fair enough, it's a fairly large period of time, and that's by no means to say that since we didn't have a selection of great games. Of course we did. Now, I'm not saying that, but take a game from 2006. Not that many of them aged well. Like I said, there are some, but not that many of them aged well. And I'm playing Company of Heroes, the original one, not even the expansions. Like I said, the very first mission, and I feel like I'm playing a 2016 game with downgraded graphics. Yes, the pathfinding is not the best. Yes, there's flaws. But it has something. It has charm. It has a storyline. You know, for an RTS, the horrors of war are depicted incredibly well. The terrifying screams of your troops as they run across an open field and get mowed down by machine gun fire, as you suddenly see a tiger tank or a king tiger or hell, even a panther just crush a building and make his way towards you. Something that never really happened in other RTS games for me. Now, yes, like I said, I did play StarCraft 2, and that's an entirely different form of RTS, an entirely different RTS game, even though it does have a great story in and of its own right, but it's... the narration as well is fantastic, the voice acting. It's that atmosphere that this game builds that I haven't seen before. So I kind of had to cut the video here after the end of the first mission, because I realised that I kept on talking about these themes, like the story and the voice acting, which I think was superb and played a massive, massive role in delivering this both storyline and the entire atmosphere and the huge love and nostalgia that I have for this game. And they played a key part in developing it. But, I mean, this scene as well, I remember all of these scenes, and it's not just nostalgia that makes me think, like, oh, this is so awesome, I remember this. It's more than that. It's far more than that. I can't really point my finger at it. The fact that each and every unit felt like it had its own story in the missions, and in the multiplayer as well. Yeah, I remember doing some fairly crazy things, like, I eventually got pretty good at the game, as you do, and what I did was... I'm going to catch them in the crossfire here. What I did was I would set up this 3v1 scenario, with there being 3 AI and 1 of me, and I would hold off against them. Now, usually on maps where there's tight corridors, I would capture these tight corridors, wherever they are, and I would try and hold off as long as I could. Sometimes this would drag on for hours, sometimes it would... not be so. I would not be so successful, and it's all part of the fun, I suppose. But it's stuff like this that you don't really. What I don't really do, and I don't think anyone really does anymore. There's this toying around with the game, yeah. Sure, people still do. I mean, there's stuff like mods. There's we do that in one form or another nowadays, but it's just something about it that was just. I know, unrepeatable for me. And this character of this game, there's this spirit of it, was never really captured in any other title for me. And well, yeah, I guess I should. Like, the reason I cut out a huge part of that video, quite a big part of that video, is I want to talk about something more specific rather than just drag on the and keep repeating myself. But also, okay, just one more thing before I get down to some mechanics and stuff like that. These missions felt so well thought out and good. Like, there's a key important road, we need to cut them off here and here and here, and just set up these things and do that. And it felt awesome. It made me feel something that I never felt ever before or since. Even the way they draw things on the map and stuff like that I just never really felt ever before in a game, or like I said, or since. I don't know. I really do not know why, but that's a thing. And also, just one quick thing before we move on. The game also shows you this perspective of the horror of war, like I talked about already in the during the first mission, but what it also does is... Let's have two like that. What it also does is makes you... Sorry, I'm confused by the amount of jobs I need to do. Don't sweat, there's no need to. But also, it also shows you the other side of the war a little bit, right? You haven't seen this because again I cut it off, but during the very start of this mission, you see a couple of Germans that are unsuspecting of what's about to happen, and an entire air raid and the airborne invasion of this place. The unsuspecting Germans talking about their coffee, and the next moment there's 500 planes in the air, and they're in the middle of a war. Now, I think, say what you will about Nazi Germany, but the fact is, a lot of soldiers were just that, soldiers following orders. They don't exactly have much say in the grand scheme of things. And it shows you that as well. Which is, you know, it's nothing new for today to have to have something like this. I'm gonna attack. I'm gonna intercept some of them right now. Is it not gonna happen later? But who knows?
Listen. Vehicles approaching.
Yeah, there you go. Vehicles approaching.
Jerry's waiting. Jerry's waiting. Jerry's waiting.
And the whispering of the troops too. But more on that in a bit. Let's talk about some actual gameplay, some mechanics that are visible right now. For example, well, this is how, like, I'm going to show you not show you, I'm going to talk about and partially show you the basics of the game itself. So, you are in command of these individual squads of units. Around 6 men. Engineers have 3, machine gun and some special weapons, heavy weapons troops have 3 as well, so just mortars and MG squads, and there's also a sniper. He's the only unit that you control. It's just one soldier on the battlefield, but he has some special mechanics related to him. But I'm losing troops left and right here. Let's get moving, troops. Fire that Panzerschreck. There's a Panzerschreck. It Shreks Panzers. No, you misunderstand. Give him freaking hell, yes. He failed to destroy the patrol troops. Bit disappointed. A bit disappointed.
Infantry reserves en route. Reinforcements proceeding. Enemy unit down.
Jerry's waiting. Yep.
Okay, let's pull back a little bit. There's also this thing, and then when they're bleeding there and then lying on the ground, it's yeah, brutal. Definitively is one word for it. But far from this being the only thing that's, all this type of gameplay being the only thing that's great about this game, or the only thing that indeed exists in this game. Usually, in most missions, you have a base, and you build up your base, and you do a set of tasks. That's either clear out of town, hold the line, stuff like that. All set in towards the end of World War II. That's basically it. I mean, what you're seeing now is essentially it, and it doesn't seem like the world's greatest and most unique thing, right? Rather, I hesitate to call it simple, but it is. It's rather simple. You know, troops, World War I, airborne, infantry, tanks, and all the different branches of the land army. And yeah, go out there and have fun with it. And I did. For more years than I'd like to admit. This is by far one of my favourite games ever. Yes. And equally, maybe not as much by far. There's a few other RTS games I like that are like, I suppose I would call them honourable mentions for this video. One of which is Rise of Nations. That is a essentially a game about humanity and the evolving, the ever-evolving human race, right? You would
Unit down.
get to fight as various... I did not expect resistance here. You get to fight as various, as various nations in various stages of development. Basically, alright, let's get around him. You get to fight as for example, the Aztecs in the prehistoric era, and then you get to fight as the Soviet Union in the invasion of Afghanistan and stuff like that. And the scary thing is, it actually worked rather well. I mean, you would. Again, it had its flaws and it's not the best thing ever, but it's a really old game too. But it would work. I mean, you would have. I would have fun with it. That's the most important thing at the end of the day. It was very fun. One moment I would be ancient Rome and with its legions running all over the place, conquering the known world and all that. And the next I would be the Soviet Union or indeed America, to be absolutely politically correct, or China, I suppose, if you want to name all the world superpowers, Germany, France, etc., etc. You know, any nation, and conduct some anti-terrorist operations or whatever. That too, yeah. And it was glorious. It was bloody glorious. But as fun as that was, it was never really Company of Heroes. It was never really that good. It was never really that game that I would, whenever I really felt like it, be able to come back to and enjoy. And even now, like, years, like, it's 10 years, isn't it? Yeah. 10 years after it's released. Can you imagine 10 years? Ages after it's released, and it... Damn, this feels like... It feels like I started playing, like I bought it yesterday. Really does. It feels like I bought it yesterday. There's also, by the way, for those of you interested, a new Steam version of it. Because, yes, when it was released, we didn't have Steam. It was not exactly a thing. There is a new Steam version of it. It's pretty much exactly like the old one. It just runs on Steam, which is far better for all of us. No, I'm assuming none of you have anything against Steam. You really shouldn't. Steam is a good platform for most of the time. Yeah, like I said, with everything in life, it does have its flaws, but it's a good platform. Don't have anything personally against it. In fact, I'm playing this on Steam right now. I'll recommend picking that up if you want to try this game. If you've never played it, trust me, get into it. Turn up the audio and play it. It's going to take some time for you to get used to the amount of shots it takes for your troops to kill the enemy. Namely, even if they're one next to each other, they're going to miss a few shots. And it's going to take a while for them to kill each other. This is on hard difficulty. On hard difficulty, it's a little bit less visible. So maybe play on hard, because it's not really that difficult, especially if you're getting into it with with a mindset of someone that's played with the mindset of someone that's played strategy games before, and you know, knows the basics of how strategy games work. In that case, then I would most definitely recommend that you pick this up and play it on hard or very hard to just bear witness the awesomeness that is this game. Because I really think it's the best RTS ever made. I don't think anyone managed to make a better one. Like I said, not the point here to shit talk Company of Heroes 2. It's a good game, especially with the Company of Heroes 3, quote unquote, which is the expansion pack for Company of Heroes 2. With American troops and whatnot. That one was pretty good too, but they removed some of my favorite features, and they never really caught on with the spirit of this game, and never really managed to replicate it. Which, yeah, maybe they weren't trying to. Fair enough. They were. Spoilers. They were, and it's clearly visible that they were. But it never really happened for me. In any game, now, like, again, not Relic's fault, but in any game, never really happened for me. I'll have to do a suicide run on this mortar, because damn, I hate mortars. Throw it. please don't tell me you're the one that's going to throw it. No? Okay, there we go. And then run the...
Airborne
Actually, retreat.
reinforcements are on the way. Enemy unit down.
And, we're going to retake that, I'm assuming.
Road sector secure. Just one left.
You know, I don't think there's much to show here anymore. This is essentially it to all intents and purposes.
Reinforcement proceeding.
But I'm going to play some more of this probably, and I hope
Infantry
some of you
reserves
tag
en
along too if you've never tried it, because trust me, you will not regret it.
underway.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Juggernaut, and this is my favourite RTS of all time.
Infantry reserves en route.
Thank you very much for watching. I know that this was not the most productive and greatest video of all time, and that no, I didn't bring out any of the facts about this game, like it cost that much to develop it, or this is how long the campaign was, or anything like that, but it's because this game wasn't about that for me. It was, right now it's mostly about nostalgia, and I admit freely to this, I understand. But more so than that, it was, for me, it was about something far greater, something about something that's just went into the annals of history, as they say, something that is not quantifiable with the amount of budget spent on the game or whatever, something that it's far more difficult to talk about, and that's atmosphere, that's the feeling and the fun that you have out of it, and the X factor, is like I said, you know, trademarked and all that. Something that you don't really point your finger at and say, that's why I like it. It's the shooting, it's the gameplay. No, it's the something. The something that I don't know how to express it. That no other game has but this one. I know, I hope I'm not the only one that thinks like this. I know there are a lot of old original Company of Heroes fans, and if you take a look at this game, it doesn't have the highest population in the world of players that is right now, but it's been released 10 years ago. I mean, what did you expect? But it does have people playing it on multiplayer. In fact, if I wanted to, I could quit out of this and get into a game. Most likely. Matter of fact, I could. Well, I don't think I'll be able to get into a game with someone in my own country and in my own, you know, vicinity of you know, the city or whatever. But yeah, I would get great ping and then battle someone probably from Eastern Europe. There's players are, no, the point of that being is there's players all over the place, everywhere. Yeah. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that 10 years later someone still plays this game and enjoys it. And multiplayer too, of all things.
Infantry reserves en route. Reinforcement proceeding.
Yeah. That's all from me. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed this video. If not, then tell me why. And yeah, that dislike button is right there if you wish to press it. It's absolutely your prerogative. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. I already said that, didn't I? I began to muck up my intros lately. Intros, outros even. Began to muck them up quite a bit. Yeah, anyways. Till next time, take care.
Enemy unit down.
And bye-bye.